Now that we have our icon set up, the next step is to actually build our application. And there's a couple steps we need to do before we can actually do the build and have the file, the app bundle file that we're going to make. So for this lesson, I'm going to be copying a lot of code from the flutter.dev documentation. They have all the code you need to do for like signing, and there's a command you need to run, so it's just easier to copy this instead of typing it all out. So if you want to follow along and copy with me so you don't have to type it all out, go to the documentation site on the left, it's deployment, and then we're going to do Android application. Okay, what are some steps that we need to do? The first one I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Android app, and then one of these build Gradle files should have our app ID. So this build.gradle within the app will have this thing called an application ID here. This, you want to make sure it's custom. So there can only be one application on the App Store with the specific application ID. So we want to make sure that this is a unique. And I bet you example mini project is already taken. So maybe we could call it Tadas Inc. And we'll call it To-Do App. This one we know won't be taken. Next thing we need to do is create a key store and sign our application. This is like a security measure for the application that gets built and putting it on the App Store. It's like you locally give it your computer signature, so that it makes it harder for people to, figure out what the heck's going on in there. And you actually can't upload your application without a digital signature anyway. So to do that, you run this command. There's a key tool, and it generates a key store, and I'm going to call it upload keystore.jks. And some other stuff in here, and we're just going to click enter. It says to enter key store password. I'm going to set a random one. I'll do 123456. And it might be because I already have a key store. So let's change this to be something different. So instead of upload key store JKS, I'm going to do to-do key store. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this time it worked because I already had a key store, so it was asking me to log into the old key store, which I don't even remember the password, to be honest. But for this one, we're creating a new one. So this is what creating a new one will look like. You enter your password and re-enter it to confirm. Then you can put in a bunch of information that you don't actually need to put in. You can just click enter, but I'm sure it would be useful to put it in. Okay, maybe you do need to put it in. I should remove that on this one. There we go. So it asks if this information is correct. Click yes. And there you go. Now I have a key store generated, stored right here with a password 123456. That's important to remember. Do not forget those things. The next thing you need to do is need to be able to reference that key store within your application. So to do that, in the Android folder, we're going to need to add a new folder. Actually, not a new folder, a new file. And the file is going to be called key.properties. This key.properties file is just the information about your key store. So it's just like a way to store the variable names of the password and where it's located and all that stuff. So the store password is 123456. Key password is the same, 123456. And the location is right here. We're just defining these variables, which we're going to use in the very next step. Now, to actually connect that key store to your application, you need to go into the app and the build.gradle in here. Let's give us some space here. Now, before this Android section, there's some code we're going to copy from the documentation, and it looks like this. So here, we're taking our key.properties file, and we're loading it in so we have that data here. Now that it's loaded in, we actually need to use that data. Here you see our release type. So normally we're creating a debug release. Now we're going to comment this out, copy paste that, and change this to release type. And for that release type, we're going to need to use those signing configurations. And you just copy paste that from this documentation. So this takes the stuff from our KeyStore properties file and loads it in so that it can actually be used for the signing process of our application. Okay, so now you want to check over to make sure everything about your application is set and you're ready to actually create the build. So now you can go to the terminal and run flutter build app bundle. And there we go. It built our app bundle, and it even gives you a route where it is, so we can click on it within our Android. Actually, no, not within our Android. There's now a new build folder that shows up. In our build folder, we have our app, then we have outputs, we have bundle, release, app release.aab. So this is the actual file we'll be uploading to the Play Store in the next video.